Hello, besties. Welcome to Martinez with Eddie, your ultimate destination for everything Bravo. Join me today as we spill the tea, dissect the drama, and uncork all the juiciest gossip from your favorite reality TV shows. Today, I'm joined by two of my favorite people in the Bravo universe as content creators. They are known as the Brav Bros. And let me introduce you to Steel and Shooter.
What's
How
up,
y'all
everybody?
doing?
What's going on?
This has been long overdue, you guys.
I know, man. We're excited to get on finally. We're
Hell yeah.
Well, we
long
got
time
on time.
coming.
Yeah, we got on time for all the drama because Bravo has been surrounded by drama lately.
It
Yeah,
really
we can't
has.
get away from it.
That's right. I mean, I want to start the convo with first off, I want you guys to introduce yourself. I want you guys to tell your story and how the Brav Bros came to be and how you guys were created because your story is really interesting compared to other content creators.
Yeah. So I'll start it off. We were both in relationships during the pandemic, and we dabbled with Bravo a little bit, but I hadn't really sat down and watched it. And then when we went into quarantine, my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was kind of going back through all the Vanderpump. And she started on season 1 again and was like rewatching the whole thing. In the beginning, I was like reluctantly watching, but wasn't really paying attention. And then the more I started hearing the stuff coming out of the TV, the more intrigued I got. And the next thing I knew, she would be going to the store or whatever to like get supplies for the week. And I would be like binge watching like 3 episodes alone. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Shooter.
Yeah, I mean, I have a slightly different approach. I was sort of like the angry dad kind of standing in the corner, like, why is this on? What are we dealing with? I don't really want to hear these people yelling at each other anymore. And then slowly but surely I was paying more attention and I started to sit down and then I started to let my fiance know, like, oh shit, like Summer House is on tonight. Are we going to watch that? She's like, what do you mean? We'll watch it when we watch it. I'm like, no, we got to watch it tonight because everybody's talking about it. So Steele and I would start talking at parties, about Bravo, and then all the other husbands and boyfriends would all come in and we'd all start talking about it together. And then lo and behold, somebody was just like, well, you guys start a podcast, which is such a funny comment. But Steele and I just, kind of ran with it and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I just can only imagine a group of straight guys talking about Bravo. That to me is like the most fascinating part.
But
yeah,
that's
it happens all the time.
Exactly. Like that's what people don't understand is that the straight dudes, they are embarrassed to admit that they watch this shit, but they do. And that's like with the stigma that we're trying to erase. And it's funny because when we started the podcast, I had multiple people that are friends of mine be like, really, dude, like Bravo. I'm like, really, dude, like you're tougher than TV. Like, what are you talking about? And then as the conversation started to unfold, next thing you know, they're like, yeah, I mean, like I do watch like The Bachelor. I'm like, that's the same thing, you dumbass. Like you're better than like Bravo. It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole tough guy act is just stupid.
Just because it's not on Bravo doesn't mean that it's the same concept.
Exactly. So
Exactly. Yeah.
we're against all that stupid shit. It doesn't make any sense. Everyone should watch what they want to watch. I don't care if it's cartoons or Bravo, whatever you enjoy. Who's here to tell you not like don't watch something that's stupid?
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. And like I remember like the first time that I met you guys in person was during BravoCon.
Yeah.
I remember that.
The Red Room.
Yeah,
Red Room.
Red Room in New York. That was an experience for Steele and I. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. We would do it again any day. But that was so funny, just making all the connections with people like that, like-minded, just sitting around and talking. And not one person was like, "Oh yeah, straight guys, like get the hell out of here. You guys don't know what you're talking about." You guys were all like, "This is great. I love you guys." We're like, "That's what we want." We have so many other people commenting on our stuff, talking about like, get these straight guys out of here. What are they talking about Bravo for? That's our life. Like, no. We're allowed to do what we want.
Yeah, I remember when I ran into your account and all this stuff, like the first time that was when you guys first started like tweeting and stuff. I did see some accounts, especially troll accounts, kind of saying like these two guys trying to take over our territory. I was like, no, bro, like this is for everybody. Actually, I welcome everybody to come in and watch it because this is why we have this type of conversation because it's TV that we enjoy. This is not like we're not gatekeeping anything here.
Exactly. You said the word. That's the key word is gatekeeping. We got gatekeeped out of here for like the first 6 months until people finally realized, like, I think the biggest thing for us was like how we wanted to approach it. We didn't want to come from like a satirical angle that we were like parodying these shows or making light of these shows. Like, we don't want anybody to feel embarrassed for watching them because I think that's silly. Like, we actually wanted to just give our take. Like, we sit here, and even when we were watch with our girlfriends and with my wife, like, we would never watch it and like make fun of them for watching it or like shit on the show. Like, we might chime in and be like, that's ridiculous, she's stupid, that's dumb. But we try to do it from a genuine approach. And I think that kind of helped soften the blow of us entering this atmosphere, because a lot of people were hesitant, and we have so many people that'll comment and be like, yeah, like I tried so hard to hate you guys. Like, I've tried for so long, but you finally won me over. And we're like, that we're just give us a chance.
Yeah, we love that. Like, when we get that win over comment, we're just like, fuck yeah. Like, we won you over. Come on, just join in. It's a lot of fun in here. Just listen to us make a fool out of ourselves and then recant everything that we said the very next episode, because we watch these things. We don't hold on to past grudges. We don't do any like lip service towards people that we like or that we want on our show in the future. We're just like, look, she fucked up. Like, we don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to watch this on my screen anymore. Get her out of here. This show stinks. I'm done with it. People get mad about it. Like, oh yeah, you guys flip flop all over the place. Like, no, when something happens, we talk about it. If something else happens that's the opposite of that, we will take it back. It's just kind of how it goes.
It's just logical. You know,
Yeah.
if we see, we're not going to stand for somebody we don't like if they do something atrocious on TV just because we're like, we have been fans of them in the past. It's like, yeah, sure, we were fans of them, and then they kicked a dog, and I don't like when people kick dogs, so I don't like them anymore. Like,
I mean, and that's what I tell people too a lot, especially on my podcast. I'm like, yeah, I'm biased with the people that I like, but at the same time, I can be open and saying like, hey, that person is a human, is gonna make some shitty ass decisions, and I'm gonna call that out by saying that sucks. Like, you don't do that in real life. So I appreciate that about you guys, because it's true. A lot of people tend to side too much with one person blindly, and like as humans, we make mistakes. We are gonna say some shit that is probably gonna come off wrong, and somebody's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that's part of reality TV too." They try to portray the reality of a person. You got to point out the flaws and enjoy the fun of it too.
Yep.
that's exactly our approach. People also will say like, you guys don't even understand, it's a reality show. It's like, no shit, you don't think we know what we're watching? Like, but we are looking at it from the lens of these are real people making real decisions, so we're going to comment on it as such. We're not going to comment on it from a reality standpoint, because that's inherent. We know that it's reality TV because we're sitting down and watching it on Bravo. We don't have to keep going back down that road like, oh, it's reality TV, because that softens the blow. It's like, no, these people did stupid shit. We're going to call them out. We like this, but we don't stand with anybody. We're fluid. We're always fluid.
Yeah.
No, talking about BravoCon, you guys heard that it's going to be in Vegas.
It is going to be in
sure.
Vegas. Oh,
Yeah, we
shit.
heard some rumors.
So
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to go because we were a little new. We had some scheduling conflicts, which is crazy that we're a Bravo podcast and we had scheduling conflicts during BravoCon, but it is what it is. So this year, yeah, we heard that it's moving to Vegas, and still some mixed feelings about that, honestly. But we'll
I'm
see.
excited though. I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
I love Vegas.
I mean, I think we have to go this year, so like we'll be there, but we may not make it out. Might be the end of the Brav Bros.
You better bring your merch with you guys. I've been rocking this in the airport. I'm just saying.
It's a great airport hat. It's a great airport hat.
It's the perfect, like, don't look at me, just wearing my sunglasses, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly.
It's the only way to go through an airport.
Like the Wild West.
Yep.
Let's talk about some Vault topics, meaning like from seasons that ended, but I want to talk about it with you guys because I know you guys have opinions, and they somehow are making their way back into the conversation because we're watching Ultimate's Girls Trip. So
Shooter's favorite.
Oh, hold on. Before we go into this, since I want to make sure. Still, your gay, your way into Bravo was Vanderpump Rules, and your way into Bravo was Summer House Shooter. You said, right?
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Yeah,
Because
big
those are
Vanderpump guy.
some of my favorite shows. I'm gonna tell you guys. Have you guys watched Southern Charm?
Southern Charm,
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. Because it's coming. It's really good. Okay, so from the vault, Black Eye Gate. Your perspective on that one, the Black Eye.
Oh, come on. We got to go back down this road.
Yeah, we're so over it. We have a rule when it comes to talking about things. If we know that we're not going to get a clear answer on something, we just don't take sides. We just don't care anymore. Just move past it. And the fact that I think that part of it, look, Steele even alluded to it. I didn't like Ultimate Girls Trip 2. I thought it was a bunch of ex-wives that were just trying to get back in and do something iconic. And it was a little boring and it was a little forced for me. Ultimate Girls Trip 3 is better. However, it's right on the heels of these seasons ending. So Whitney and Heather really haven't figured out their friendship and whatever. And like, we're kind of done with that whole thing. We just watched a whole season of it. And the fact that the Black Eye Gate keeps coming up is like, come on, we're never going to get an answer. Heather's clearly never going to tell us what happened. We are going to make our own inferences. We think it was Jen in some way, shape, or form, and she's covering for her. And that's it. We really don't even need to talk about it anymore, honestly.
Thank you.
He said it perfectly. Well done, Shooter.
Thank you.
Another topic is bad Mormon. Is it true a bad Mormon or is a bad liar, like Portia said?
So this one, I think we talked about it last night. Actually, we recorded. I think that there's a disconnect amongst the group of what being a Mormon entails. I don't think that they fully grasp how much of a stranglehold the Mormon church has over these women's lives. Like, they really have to separate from the church. Now, with Portia saying that, and then obviously Whitney saying that, you know, she's technically not out of the Mormon church, I think it belittles the journey that Heather's going on. I'm not a Heather fan after this season. I don't know how many people could be after all that shit, but I think it's a dangerous game to play on somebody that's going through something so personal and emotional and life altering, that to say that she is or is not Mormon or is not continuing to be part of the church, there's too many ins and outs that we will not understand because we are not Mormon, that I feel like it's a dangerous game for anybody to comment on it as though they know what she's going through. Even Whitney, it's a different path. Like, Whitney she was done and she felt confident with that and she was able to separate. Whereas Heather seems to have a more difficult time doing that. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's a different journey. And I think that to comment on it from a space of, oh, well, she's not really a bad Mormon, or, oh, she's not really leaving the church, or any of those things, we just don't know. Like, we don't get it.
Yeah, especially religion. Religion is such a heavy topic.
Yeah.
Even for maybe from the perspective of like being Catholic myself, like when I walked, I mean, I didn't like walk away because that's like a weird way of saying when you're not in that type of church. But when I stopped going to church and I realized that was not something that I identified with, I mean, it does take a heavy toll on yourself because it's somehow a big part of your upbringing, and it's hard to break away from something that you knew so well, quote unquote, and it formed your personality in a lot of levels of your personal life too. So I totally agree with you, Steele. I think the comment of being like a bad liar was a little too much. But I kind of want to see how that plays out on season 4, because we know that during this girls trip, nothing is gonna be resolved. This is just like a tease of what's coming for the next season on each housewife that are part of the show right now. Which brings me to the other point from the vault, Giselle's accusation against Chris and Candace last season. They're still being talked about this season.
Yeah, we actually go ahead, Shooter.
That's going to be interesting because we had like a 2.5 hour interview with Chris. He sat down with us and we just let him talk. Honestly, like, we had a couple of questions, just trying to point them in the right direction for what we know the fans want to hear as far as closure goes and as far as how he feels. And you could tell during the reunion, it was a little weird. Like, he was given a lot more chances to talk and he really wasn't talking. So I don't think that it's closed by any way, shape, or form. It's going to be interesting to see if our interview with him gets brought up next season, because as you can see on Ultimate Girls Trip, Giselle keeps alluding to it. And the other girls are like, yeah, what happened with Chris? What happened with Chris? They're not going to talk about it on Ultimate Girls Trip because that's not kind of what they're after for that. But I do think it's going to pop back up next season, and that's going to stink because it drug through this entire season. And I really liked Potomac. I liked everybody on it. I thought it had a lot of potential, but they just got stuck on that one thing, which a lot of these shows are kind of doing at this point. They get stuck on this one thing, and either producers or whoever think that we're going to love it. We can't get enough of it. And we're like, dude, it's enough. We're done with this. Just leave the guy alone. There's no hard facts here. You made her feel some type of way. Apologize. She can apologize for spinning it out of proportion. Whatever. Just leave it alone. And yeah, I think like you said, Eddie, we're probably going to get a little bit more of it next season. And we're not really looking forward to that.
No, not at all.
No.
Especially after Giselle Cole, I mean, kind of like insinuate that the Candice is stealing stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Those are heavy ass accusations. And that's one thing that pisses me off with Giselle. Like, how can you call somebody a thief on national TV for over a tequila bottle only costs $100 in your local liquor store?
She's acting like this bottle of liquor is a child or like a Birkin bag or like some kind of like the way that if somebody like approached me like that on a trip, like shooter, if we were on a trip, you're like, where's my bottle? I would just bitch slap you and be like, dude, fuck off. Like, why are you I didn't steal your shit. Like, I think the patience of everybody else is way higher than I expected because you're accusing her of stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, like you said, it's a big deal. It's not just like a ho-hum, like, oh yeah, whatever. And like, no, you can't go through my shit because that implies that you think that I'm guilty. It implies that I might have the bottle in there. No, don't go through my shit. Leave this whole thing alone. I don't know if she thinks it's like drumming up the kind of drama that we want to watch. I don't know what her angle with this stupid ass bottle is. But again, everyone Venmo her $100 or go find. You're telling me you can't find tequila in all of Thailand? There's no fucking way. It's Clase Azul. Like that's the other thing. Is it nice tequila? Sure. Is it the greatest, most expensive, luxurious tequila ever? No. It's like what normal, regular people, if they want to splurge a little bit, they buy a bottle of that because you can hit the bell on the top. It's not like you're fucking throwing highball dollars out at some fancy nightclub. It's Clase Azul. You're in Thailand. Shut the hell up. No one cares.
Yeah, and that's one thing that it pisses me off. Like, you go all the way to Thailand, you take your ass to Thailand to fight over a bottle of tequila and make everybody feel like shit because, like, yeah, she went hard on Candice, and I'm starting to like I was thinking last night when I was recapping the episode, I'm like, Giselle takes this accusation to the extreme. She accused Chris of making her feel some way, almost feels like sexual harassment or some kind of way, and now she goes after Candice, making her feel like he stole something. Those are heavy as shit. And then you make everybody else around you really uncomfortable over a bottle of tequila because it must be really weird to be sitting at a little lunch place in Thailand yelling at each other over something so simple when you should be having a good time. Maybe just go across the street, get a joint, and relax.
Yeah, with one. Shut up. Like, I just couldn't. And the fact then she starts yelling at production. Like you said, she said someone could go in their room. Somebody go in her room. It's like, stop it. Leave them alone. They're in Thailand taking care of you, idiots. So they're probably exhausted. Like, leave production out of it. Everyone Venmo her $100 so she shuts the hell up and like get over the bottle. I clearly this is a deeper issue. There's something more to this. And I think that somebody had a confessional where they said this is just Giselle needs to prove Candice wrong. She needs to be in the right that Candice actually stole the bottle. But one, nobody cares. Two, the accusation is way heavier than we're giving it credit or that she understands. You're accusing her of thievery. That's a big deal. So I'm tired of it all. That whole episode pissed me off. It was just worthless. They could have went 5 different directions, but instead Giselle does what Giselle does, hijacks the show about some stupid shit and starts yelling at people.
Yep.
I agree. Talking about hijacking a show over something over one season, let's go into the current shows. Let's go into New Jersey. You guys, I'm pretty sure, have opinions on it too, because everybody has an opinion over the Teresa versus Melissa situation when it comes down to the wedding. I want to hear you guys' perspective of this whole mess.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of those things that we don't think we're ever going to get the truth from either side. They're all just trying to spin their own narrative the entire time. And Steele and I talked about this last night. This has been going on for so long that we don't think that there's ever going to be an end in sight. But there's an opportunity for Joe to really win this overall. And Louis is giving him that opportunity by being so unhinged. The fact that Louis is sitting over there bawling his eyes out and calling his sisters, saying, I got to tell my sisters I love them because of all this is just heartbreaking. Like, he's clearly crazy. And Joe could just sit there and be like, you know what? Louis a little crazy. Like, I don't know if I want to deal with this. I don't think my sister should be marrying this guy. He's nuts. Just say something like that, and all of us would be like, yeah, dude, we get it. Like, that's pretty crazy to watch. Instead, he's trying to add in this extra thing with Dave Manzo and all this Pizzagate bullshit. And it's just like both sides are trying so hard and missing the mark constantly that we don't care anymore. Like, we don't think it's ever going to be over, but we don't have to take a side. We don't have to say, you know what, Joe and Melissa are absolutely correct. Teresa and Louis are absolutely correct. They're both dumb. They're both doing stupid things and hurting each other in the process. And there's so many manufactured instances of just stupidity that we as a viewer really just want to move on. Like, thank God, and this is so funny because I never thought I'd say this, but thank God for somebody like Jennifer Aiden, who is going through like a personal matter, is starting fights with other people and then squashing them, and then kind of standing her ground when it comes to Marge and other people. And thank God for the newbies like Rachel and Danielle. That's been a crazy dynamic. If all of those things weren't going on and all we just had were Joe and Melissa versus Teresa and Louis, we'd be kicking ourselves in the ass. Like, why are we watching this?
Steele?
I mean, he said it pretty well. It's and we get accused all the time of being like Teresa fans or Louis fans because early on in the season, all we said was Teresa and Louis are presented to us in the first 3, 4, 5 episodes as trying to better themselves. You know, Louis trying to help Teresa kind of control her anger. She's going to therapy. We're seeing a different Teresa in some instances where there's arguments and she is actually the voice of reason. So we just took the stance that, you know what, these two seem to be trying. Why don't we give them the space to, you know, either drown or walk? Like, they're going to show us who they really are at some point. You know, they're going to crack, and we're seeing that happen now. Louis kind of falling apart. You're seeing like some cracks in the armor, so to speak. So I think that we don't I'm going to echo what Shooter said. We don't have a firm stance. We're kind of down the middle. We're just watching who's doing what, because if you look at it and you compare the evidence on both sides, especially after the Pizzagate shit comes out, you got Louis crying. He's making inspirational videos with Danielle's husband behind him and Bill Aiden behind him. He's doing all this weird shit. He's grabbing Melissa's hand. Like, that's weird. Flip it around though. Joe and Melissa are trying to present all this evidence about Pizzagate 2.0 and like all this other. So we're supposed to trust Joe. I don't trust Joe. We're supposed to trust Louis. I don't trust Louis. I don't trust any of these people. So why don't I just watch, see what comes out, see what happens? There's my wife. And and I think that's the right approach. And I think that people that get so stuck to Team Tree or Team Gorga, you're missing the point. You're missing what's going on between these two families, because there's a lot of crazy dynamics. Like Shooter said, there's a lot of manufactured nonsense. But just let it play out, because someone's gonna give or somebody's gonna leave. And I think that somebody's gonna end up leaving because the root of all of this, neither one wants to swallow their pride. Nobody wants to lose this battle, right? It's been going on for so long. Nobody wants to bend the knee to the other one. And someone's either going to have to swallow their pride and bite the bullet and force that conversation to move forward and just be like, you know what? You're right. I'm wrong. I want to be family again. Let's just fucking move past it. No one's going to do that. This is going to continue on as long as they allow it to. So we're just going to stay right down the middle and watch these two families make idiots out of themselves.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and like you said, like it's been going on for so long that as viewers too, we are tired because this Melissa versus Teresa, it's been happening since the moment that the Gorgas joined the show, and that God knows that moment you kind of look back and like, oh my gosh, these people actually hate each other. So like you said, Shooter, I'm so happy with the newbies because like to me they brought like a fresh breath of air into the show because imagine only having this dynamic between the Gorgas and the Judices and Louis. I would be like jumping out the window every week.
Yeah, no, really. Honestly, like with the newbies, we kind of, Steele and I talked about this a lot. I would almost rather them kind of team up together and maybe bring in like a Jennifer Aiden or whoever, and then go after these big powers that be rather than picking sides. You know what I mean? Like we want to see them kind of make their own moves and go against these other women that have been there for so long, that have been making things up. And like in Marge's case, just digging up like all these old things to throw at people. They could actually be sort of like a force to be reckoned with. That would be a good new like awakening for the show. Instead, Rachel, who we didn't really think that she had a whole lot going into it with the first couple of episodes, all of a sudden she just picks a side and she goes, you know what, I'm Team Marge. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell her everything that Danielle said, put Danielle on the hot seat. Danielle, you could tell, didn't see that coming. So she was just blown away and really doesn't know how to react. I'd almost rather, instead of just picking the existing sides, create a new team and go after these people. And then you can create a whole new dynamic that'll push the show forward rather than getting stuck with more people in the same storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I do believe that maybe Danielle came with that mentality because you can tell that she was actually surprised the moment that Rachel took a stand to be on that side of the team. And she was like, okay, if you are on that team, I'm on this team now. Like bring it, bitch. You know, like that's what I'm saying. I do agree that if the newbies made a team, that would be even a bigger force for the show because it would make the group less obviously divided.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I think that the biggest surprise, like Shooter said, was that Fuda is playing the game. Like she understands it. She came in knowing that you kind of have to take sides and like play these different angles and kind of hold on to some ammo to like drop a bomb later because you kind of move up the ranks a little bit. Now she's got Marge's ear, but it's funny because immediately after that episode, you see Danielle is FaceTiming with Teresa. It's like, okay, well now she's Team Tree. So here we go. We got the factions. Would it have been more fun for a Fuda Danielle team? For sure. Could they have survived that? Probably not. Like they're not going to win a battle against Teresa and her army. They're not going to win a battle against Marge and her minions. Like it's not going to happen. So I think that is something we can kind of cross our fingers for, like moving forward, like maybe in a season or two, we kind of see, I guess, the turnover of, you know, the older housewives for the newer housewives. I think that's probably how they're almost shaping it. You got Danielle and Rachel, who we thought Danielle was going to be the superstar. I still think that she has that potential. I think that she could be great for this show for a long time. But Rachel Fuda came in and kind of blew the doors off of everything. And she's doing a good job as a housewife. Like she understands the assignment and she's playing it really well. So I think the future could be bright. I think we are going to see some newbies butt heads with the big forces, but I don't know if they're going to team up, at least not for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, like based on for what I understand when it comes to Rachel, she was already a fan of the show or the franchise, or like
her Twitter handle was like Bravo fangirl, like yeah. So, but on the flip side, Danielle had been on 3 reality shows prior to being on this one. So, I mean, clearly they're both, but that's when people call attention to that stuff, I almost question it because all of these people have that goal to be on TV. All of these people want to be in the starlight, like all of that shit. So, or spotlight, sorry. So I don't think it's really evidence contrary to anything. I think it's just a statement of fact. Like most of the new people that are going to be on these shows were probably either fans of the show or want to be a TV personality in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this for that reason. Bravo, give us a show too.
Yeah, seriously. We'll be on one.
Yeah, that's right. Bring all the Bravo content creators. I keep saying that, guys. I keep saying this. I'm manifesting it because I think it's gold. Bring a group of Bravo content creators into a house, like Summer House style, and you have an amazing freaking show. Because the shade, the personality, the egos are so interesting that it will be gold.
We'll be out back grilling. You can come out and hang out with us if shit gets too heavy.
I'll be sitting down, just like watching everybody like turn apart, and I'll be like, cool,
If we
awesome.
could go to that house in the Hamptons, I'm down.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Talking about the Hamptons, I know you guys spoke to Carl, right? You guys
Mhm.
had an
Yep.
interview with Carl. How was that? How was your interview? I want to know.
It was good. I mean, it started off a little rocky because he was responding to a video of me pretty much saying that the show is dead, it's going nowhere, it's boring, we're tired of watching it. And he sort of left like a sarcastic comment like, "Thanks for all the support, bros. I'd love to come on your podcast to talk about it." And we're like, "Oh man, like he might come on and rip us apart." Instead, he came on and like he took the opportunity to clear the air. We gave him a lot of space to talk because look, like Steele said earlier, like we're logical. We're not going to just start ripping into you because of what we see on TV. We know that there's a lot that gets cut out. There's a lot that's manipulated in post production to make it look a little bit worse than it is. And we wanted to talk to him about that and how he feels that he's doing and how he feels that the show's going and kind of how his image and his relationship were portrayed. And honestly, like Steele and I weren't necessarily against Carl. We were Carl fans to begin with. We did agree that it was a little bit of a rough showing for him this year. It was just boring and tired of the same crap. And we gave him the chance to come back. And honestly, like walking away from that interview, I think Steele probably felt the same. We are going to give him at least until the end of the season because he says it gets a little bit better. There's a little bit more out there that we can kind of sink our teeth into as viewers and content creators. So we'll give him until the end of the season. But if by the end of the season it still sucks, we're going to go right back to it. We really don't have an allegiance to anyone.
No, we
we
don't.
have an allegiance to watching good television. If the television
right.
stinks, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like at the end of it, Carl was great. Like he was a really nice guy. He talked a lot about his journey with sobriety and with Lindsay and just kind of the journey his life is going in right now. And I think that regardless of how this season goes, it'll be interesting to see him next year. And like Shooter said, if the rest of the season stinks, we'll at least let him know that it stinks.
Yeah.
But his self-reflection on the show, watching it, was interesting to me. Like when we sat there and interviewed him, obviously it's post-production and all that. He's sitting watching the episodes come out each week and everything. His introspective after seeing himself on TV, he's like, I wish I did this differently. I wish I did this differently. I wish I did this differently. He's seeing a lot of things that he would like to change. And the one thing that we can definitely give Carl credit for is he is making adjustments to his life to better himself, to better kind of everyone around him. So I think that if anybody can kind of hear some criticism or see some things that you don't like in yourself on the show and bring it to a different level next year, I think he's got a good chance to do so.
Yeah.
Because he was very self-aware. When we would challenge him on shit or we would kind of bring something up that bugged us, I would say 90% of the time he agreed. He was like, yeah, no, that was shitty to watch. Like, I wish I did this instead. Or, oh yeah, like I know that was boring, but next week we got this. And he actually delivered. He said, next week we got people going out, this, that. Sure enough, the next week was a better episode and it was them going out and having fun. So I think there's more meat left in this season, at least. He kept saying there's more meat on the bone. So after discussing it with him, I definitely will give him the chance because he was great. And I believed him.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the show would be better if they give like a spin-off to the OGs about their life in the city and just bring new blood into Summer House? Because Summer House started as 20-something, 30-something guys and girls having a good time, partying all the time in the Hamptons. But, they got to the point now where, I mean, I'm going to be 40 this year. So I see how Kyle, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be 40 forever. And that's cool. Like, you want to be fun and all this stuff. And I'm the same way, too. But there's going to be a point where you're not that interested.
You're going to be 40?
Yeah.
Wow, you don't look 40.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you look.
So I understand how Kyle is because I have the same type of personality. I like to have fun in the summer, but not everybody in the show had the same mentality.
Yeah.
So do you guys think that maybe kind of like giving like Kyle, Amanda, Carl, Lindsay, even Paige, even though Paige she's still young, like compared to them, focusing on their life in the city, like now that they're married, like engaged, planning kids, that life, a separate show, and then give like a new blood of Summer House guests, housemates, especially now that they brought like Sam and Gabby and Chris, maybe like create the show around them instead.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that could work. I feel like we haven't seen enough from the likes of Sam and Gabby and Chris to say that they can support a whole show. Like when Summer House started, Kyle, Carl, Lindsay, like they were all so polarizing and they were so much fun. But yeah, you might be right. Maybe it is time to just kind of give up the old guard. You don't want to phase them out entirely. Like let them come back and pop in for a couple of weekends, whatever. But yeah, give them their own show somewhere in New York, especially if you're not really doing the New York Legacy show. Now you can still have two shows. Throw them out there, give them a bone, maybe have a couple more people that live in New York join in. It might stink just because of how things are going and how their lives are kind of slowing down. It might not be that much fun to watch, but at least it gives them something to do. And then, yeah, you're right. I mean, we've got the Summer House Martha's Vineyard showing up, I think towards the end of this year. That'll be interesting to see how that goes because we don't know anyone on that show. So that could be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think Sierra has had a really good season this year. I think Maya has been a little boring, but again, the relationship factor gets into it. Sam and Corey are now dating, so maybe throw Corey out there. I mean, if they're in a relationship, that's different than watching Lindsay and Carl. They are still having fun and they're still raging, which is what Summer House is supposed to be all about. So, yeah, maybe you do have kind of the building blocks out there to try to keep that like a Summer House. We'll call it Summer House Hamptons. Leave them there. Have the Martha's Vineyard one going on. If they're both kind of lacking, push them together and send them somewhere else. So there's definitely ways that they can go. I just don't know that I trust Bravo to make the right decision at this point.
No, they've had kind of some weak production, I think, this over the past year and a half or two. I don't like how they're trying to point these shows. I think they're losing what we as viewers actually want to see.
Yep.
I think that it's convoluted because the numbers are so juiced because so much crazy shit has happened, right? Like we've tuned in for it because the Scandival, right? And then Beverly Hills was insane. So the numbers were through the roof. All these shows are getting big bumps. But as far as what we're seeing on the screen, a lot of it is drama and shit that is never ending. They've lost the fun part of the shows that a lot of us need because you need the reprieve. Like Shooter and I use that word probably too much on our show because you need that break. Like you need a 5 to 10 minute scene of like shopping or family time or literally anything other than some really dark, scary, life-altering argument that nobody can agree on. Like that, it gets old after a while. I do think that you're onto something with the let's follow them into the city with the Summer House crew. If you made it that show, I would be interested to see how people respond to it because I personally enjoy seeing those cutscenes when they're in the city. Like I don't need to be in the Hamptons all the time. Like I would like to see behind the scenes of Loverboy a little bit. Like, I think that would be interesting.
That would be cool.
I would like to go on a photo shoot with Chris and see what the hell he's all about. I would like to go see what Sierra does every day. You have Paige just doing, fashion advice and like Good Morning America and shit. Let's get a camera back there getting ready for that show. There's a lot of stuff. I just feel like Bravo Productions missing the mark. They're missing out on all of these like what's the word, meatballs, like right down the middle of the plate that they can hit out of the park. Like they need to just simplify a little bit. Stop trying to force these crazy dramatic arguments. Stop trying to force this shit down our throats because we can watch something and immediately Shooter and I will call it out immediately. I'll text him because we don't watch all the shows again and be like, this is fake. Like, this is bullshit. Like, clearly this didn't happen. This is forced. And like Shooter had to check himself on the show yesterday because he kept blaming production like 3 different times in a row. But the thing is, he's 100% right. The scenes are manufactured and it's obvious. And at some point you can't keep the blinders on and just like comment on it without saying production had a hand in it because it's just too obvious. It's like, clearly this is forced. So I don't know. I think they need to try something different, clearly, but I don't have a lot of faith in it. I'm with Shooter.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. And I know Eddie watched this too. Like, you liked Southern Hospitality and you got to spend some time with them down in Charleston. That's the type of show that I feel like has a little bit more potential than just kind of rebooting these old shows. Like, yeah, you can take a housewife out and put a new person in, or drop a couple and do this, or put them on hiatus for a couple of years or whatever. But we're kind of just going to come back to the same reason why we disliked it to begin with. Like, they had a really good run. They have to figure out a new way to infuse new blood into existing shows. And in the same moment, you should be able to experiment with these other shows like Real Girlfriends in Paris or Southern Hospitality, which Southern Hospitality was a lot of fun. I know Steele and I may be alone in liking Real Girlfriends in Paris. I don't know if you like that one.
I love that show.
It was good, right? And it's
Yeah.
younger. It speaks to the younger crowd. You don't want, and this doesn't go against the older generation that still watches Bravo, but they're probably bored too. Like, you want to speak to somebody like us who we're always searching for something new to watch. Like, that's kind of what our daily routine is. Like, oh shit, I watched all my new shows. Like, is there anything else I can watch? Like, here's Bravo. Try a new show. It's something about younger people your age that are going through life in Charleston, a cool place that you may have never been to. All right, cool. I'll check in with that. Like, focus on those shows and kind of just do a little bit of maintenance on the older shows. Obviously, if something's not broke, don't fix it. Like, maybe Real Housewives of like Atlanta is still pretty good. Beverly Hills, you're always going to get a good pull from that. But it's for the people that watch it all the time, like we do, and we have to talk about it, it gets a little boring. So, just try to figure out how to do that. But also, what's the point? You don't really have a budget. Just start throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm one of the people who always pushes for non-housewife shows.
Yeah.
Like, I want more of those shows. The only show that I had never gotten into because I don't like the boat situation is Below Deck.
Below Deck, yeah.
Below
Yeah,
Deck.
same.
It's kind of like I don't appreciate boats, so I don't care about it.
I love that.
That's a really funny reason to not like it too.
I just not a big boat guy, so I don't do boats.
Yeah. But like, for example, like you said, Family Karma. I love that show.
Yeah.
I love Girlfriends in Paris. I'm so sad that people did not give that show the opportunity because the cast had a great chemistry.
Yep.
People kept people hated it for the fact of Bravo calling it Real Girlfriends in Paris because they thought about Housewife immediately.
Yep.
Which I think it was a marketing failure, not a show failure.
I agree.
It was marketing didn't run. And then we have Southern Charm, like you said. Those are the shows that Bravo should focus in because, as you mentioned, talking about Housewives 24/7 is exhausting, and there's too many of them at this point. Like, yeah, bring a new city, that's fun, but we still have to deal with the other 20 cities that we have right now.
Yep.
They got a little too dramatic for the ratings. Like, Beverly Hills being my favorite franchise, and me getting into fights on Twitter because I'm telling people this is not why we started watching Beverly Hills in the first place. We didn't not watch Beverly Hills to learn about people stealing from the widows and orphans and fighting over Erica Jane's fortune. We started watching Beverly Hills because we wanted to see how outrageous the life of the multimillionaire was. Because Beverly Hills was the first franchise to bring like the opulence to Bravo. Because before it was OC. OC is just rich soccer moms to me. Or New Jersey was suburban women's because Jersey is rich, but it's not mega wealthy. It's just suburban people who has access to some wealth. But then came Beverly Hills. Those were like multi-millionaire people, like that's the Vanderpumps of the world, So fast forward to now, like every season has to have like a dramatic court situation, like Salt Lake City with Jen Shah, and then we have Erica Jane. So it gets tiring. So watching shows like Family Karma is refreshing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that the best thing he said there was they've completely lost the fact that we like to see the extravagance. We like to experience a lifestyle that most of us will probably never get to experience, right? We're not going to be going to these lavish parties in 20,000 square foot mansions in LA. Like, it's not going to happen. We want to watch it. I want to be for it. I want to go watch them spend $50K in one day like it's nothing. That's fun. But we don't do that hardly ever anymore. Instead, we go to Aspen and people are crying and yelling the entire time. And nothing's more irritating than just like screaming. People yelling over each other is beyond irritating. So I think if they can find a way back, that's the beauty of it all, is there's always a chance for changing something, trying something new, trying something with somebody else, a different path for the show. I just think they need to just settle the fuck down. Just calm down. It's not that serious. We don't want to be stressed out by our TV shows. I don't want to have anxiety because Tom Sandoval's a douchebag. You know what I mean? I don't want to have anxiety because I'm watching Diana Jenkins rip Sutton apart to the point that she's in tears and 6 other women sit there and say nothing and just watch it happen. That's not entertaining. That's fucking horrible. It's mean and it's sad to watch. I leave that show like, wow, I feel like shit. I feel like I'm a party to it. I'm not in a good mood. And I just got done working for 12 hours. And then I sat an hour to watch this shit. And I didn't see one person buy anything fancy. I didn't have one giggle. Instead, I'm pissed off at Diana Jenkins. Like, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, there you go. Well said.
Fuck you, man. I
Yeah,
came here to have a
exactly.
good time, and this is what I get. Yo, how you guys feel about the bringing all these new guests to Beverly Hills? Now that we're talking Beverly Hills real quick, that they're filming right now. They are bringing old faces back into the show, which, by the way, I think is great. People are talking about it like it's some kind of new formula. And like, have you been paying attention? Because last time that I checked, the whole Denise Richards situation happened because Brandy and King Richard were guests of the episode. Back, we have the Munchausen part because Taylor Armstrong asked Lisa Vanderpump during a tea party about people talking about Yolanda. So I want to know your perspective. How you guys feel about bringing Denise and who else it was? Cynthia's in it, Lars is in it.
Kim Richards makes an appearance.
Camille, Kim Richard is filming too. So how do you guys feel about that?
It could go one of two ways. It could be really good. I mean, we were talking about like bringing Denise back last year and replacing Rinna, and we were fine with that. We're good with that. But once you start bringing in a lot of other new faces, it could work really well. We might be happy because there's all new dynamics that we have to be on the lookout for. Like, how is Sutton going to deal with all of them? And it looks like Sutton's getting along with them. How is Garcelle going to deal with them? Like, it looks like Garcelle's getting along with them. So it could be. Now, obviously, we don't want a season where everybody's nice to each other, but we just don't want a season where, one, we talk about the same thing the entire time, or two, it seems like all this is fabricated. We just want real organic drama and a lot of nice parts and fun parts and them spending money. That's what we watch these shows for. But it could be really bad, too, because what we saw on, and I'm going to do it again with Ultimate Girls Trip 2, when you see these older housewives that have been cast aside, they might be trying way too hard to get their show back. Like we saw with Brandy. Like Brandy, everybody loved her in Ultimate Girls Trip 2, and look what happened in Ultimate Girls Trip 4. We don't even know what happens, but it sounds terrible. So it looks like these people are just trying so damn hard to earn their spot back because they see somebody like Tamara gets brought back to OC, and they're like, oh, it could be me. I might be next. So they're going to try overly hard, and then us as the viewers can sniff right through that. Like, no, this is bullshit. We don't want to watch this anymore. So I hope, for the sake of Beverly Hills, because Steele and I really love Beverly Hills, and because of how big it is for Bravo, pretty much at this point, like how Beverly Hills goes, the whole station goes. So if they can continue to have really high ratings and it's good TV to watch, that's kind of what we want. So if this works, it's great. If it doesn't, we know why.
Yeah, I think that they need to be careful not forming storylines around these people coming in. Other than Denise, I think is probably going to be more of a mainstay. I can't imagine Kim Richards is going to be making like multiple appearances. I could be wrong, but I think that's where you run the risk. If you want to bring them in to comment on a current situation every now and then, sure. If you want to bring them in just to like remind the viewer, like, oh, remember her? Like, oh, that's fun. But don't overdo it. Don't keep trying to force it in. Don't keep trying to shoehorn it in places it doesn't belong. Let it happen organically. See how it goes. And if like the first 3 or 4 times we get a cameo from somebody and we're like, oh, that was fun, let it ride. If you see it like not working, hit the edit button immediately. That's what the other crazy thing to me is as these shows progress through the season, they're not finished editing like final cut till the week of that actual episode airing. You can continue to change it, but we'll still see shit that like everyone is bitching and moaning about, but they still go that route. So this is a really good opportunity to try to inject some new life and also in real time adjust accordingly if it's not working. And I think, like Shooter said, you got your flagship shows. You know, you got Jersey on the East Coast, Beverly Hills on the West Coast. Those are 2 of like your mainstays, right? And then, you know, Atlanta you could probably throw in there as well. But those 2 are really important for the brand of Housewife overall. So I think that they can use this as an opportunity. They're not going to, and I'm, you know, this is a pipe dream, and I feel like an idiot for even talking about it, but whatever. they could actually try some shit with Beverly Hills and see if it works early on. If it doesn't, just shift. You've already got your storylines probably written out for the whole season or close to it. So just make adjustments as we go and see if it works. And if it doesn't, you're right back where we were anyway, because you know people are going to watch it because it's going to be a train wreck. So just try to like make it more fun, man. I'm getting
we
tired.
know that happens too, because we talked to Chris when we talked to him during the interview. He said that like 2 or 3 weeks into shooting, Bravo sat down all of the women on the show and had them pretty much like a very frank conversation about how the show's going. Like, there's not enough here. This is kind of boring. Like, we don't want the viewers to be bored. What do you guys have going on in your personal lives first? Because that's what matters the most. I feel like with these shows, when we get to see them obviously having drama, it's one thing. But when we see both of them go back to their respective households and have nice moments with their family or tough moments with their family, it makes them way more relatable. And we can kind of latch onto them and be like, you know what, I support what she does. And then when she gets into a fight, then you find yourself on her side or the other person's side or whatever. So we want to see a little bit more of that. We don't want to kind of lose like grasp of what we're watching these shows for.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when like production wise. I mean, we all know that a lot of this stuff happening are not fabricated, but like embellished.
Yeah, they're played up. Yeah,
You know, exactly. So it gets tiresome when you guys mentioned before, you can spot the overly produced scene, when you spot the overly produced storyline, or when you spot the person who has no storyline and just go like and try to get somebody else their own storyline. You know what I'm saying? Like
Giselle.
It's exhausting, man.
Marge.
You could do it all day.
Yeah, there's one in every franchise at least.
Yeah, and it gets tiring because it seems to me that they played the audience so well that people forget that they don't have a storyline, and they get this like main stage to do nothing, to do the bare minimum, and we still have to deal with them when there's other people out there. I'm pretty sure more interested that could join the cast and probably have been casted before, and we just get stuck with mediocre storylines, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that the one danger and bring it to Beverly Hills, but just franchises overall, and something that Bravo can't seem to get away from. And this goes to Shooter's Ultimate Girls Trip 2 theory. You need new people. We need new people that we haven't seen before. They keep trying to force people back in. And I'm hopeful for Beverly Hills because, again, I don't think these people are going to be a mainstay in the show. I think they're making cameos and appearances, and that's different. By trying to force us to watch people we've seen already that have fizzled out, like they left these shows for a reason. They got asked to leave or put on pause, fired, left of their own accord. Regardless of how they left the show for a reason. Them trying to come back, their biggest problem is they try to rekindle what they were famous for. We saw Dorinda do it at Bluestone Manor, and Jesus Christ, it was awful. Like she just leaned so hard into the crazy Dorinda that we watched for those first seasons of Roni for so long. She tried to do it again, and it's like, oh, this is irritating, and it's forced, and it's really annoying, and you're losing us. And she did. Like, she didn't get asked back. Roni got canceled completely. It's just, they need to stop trying to force feed us old stars that we have kind of glossed over. Like, their time has passed, and that's okay. They have such an important role in this universe forever. They helped build it. They helped create it. They will forever be a mainstay in the Bravo universe. Bring them back for appearances. Bring them back so we can check in once in a while. Don't bring them back to be the mainstay on a show because it simply doesn't work.
I agree. That's why I'm excited for Ronnie, the new franchise. I mean, many people are complaining about it online, like, bring my Dorinda, bring back my Luann. I'm like, yeah, but the whole point of this reset is because, hey, we need new blood into franchises. And it's okay to say these ladies, the legacy ladies are great in what they do, but they're, they need their own space. They need their own project. Yeah. And I was one of the few people that was excited for both Legacy and the new Ronnie. I was excited for both. I'm like, I have more content that I can create because there's more shows coming. Yeah. Well, half of Twitter is having a fist fight because Ronnie changing the vibe is gonna hit the rain. It's not like, no, it's you need a refreshment. You need a restart. You can not always want something to stay the same because it gets boring and then he dies. It then
Yeah.
actually dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we watched it happen to Ronnie. And that's the funny thing. People are like, bring back Dorinda, bring back this. You had Dorinda, you had Luann, you had all of them. You could have kept it going. It didn't work because you didn't watch.
Yep.
Now you want to bring them back? They're off the TV for a reason. And it's you, the viewer. They didn't get the views. They're out of there. That's it. So if you really want them back, you should have watched before. Give us some new blood for Ronnie. Give him one season. Make it work. If it doesn't, scrap it. And that's the other thing. They need to stop trying to like force us to watch shows. If it doesn't work, you have the money, scrap it, move on to the next one. Focus on the ones that do work. Give more time and attention to Southern Hospitality. Give more time and attention to Girlfriends in Paris. Why? Because it might work. It's new. Girlfriends in Paris had all the makings to be a good show. It had the characters, it had the setting, it had the storylines. It didn't have the promo, it didn't have the support, it didn't have the backup. It just was kind of dropped on us. We're like, oh shit, a new show. Like Shooter and I we didn't watch it for like 5 weeks after it came out because we didn't really hear about it. Then a couple of our listeners were like, hey, this is a new show. So we dove in and stopped doing it because nobody watched it. But there's no reason to not watch it. It has everything that a good Bravo show should have, except the support from Bravo, seemingly.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to force these older shows that have been around for a while, stop forcing them to work and put some more energy into the new shit because there's something there. Southern Hospitality had bigger numbers on their finale than Salt Lake City did. That's big for a show, a non-housewife show to beat a housewife show is a big deal.
Yeah.
So give them the fucking attention. Like put it there. Let's see how these kids can come up. All right. Like there's a lot of big stars that could be in the making there. You might, I don't know how you feel about G Lily, but like she's good for TV, man. Maddie's good for TV. Like that's the thing. So it's just, again, they missed the mark. They don't know. I think they're out of touch with what we want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the part that you said that they have the star quality. Like, you know, sure, you mentioned at the beginning, I got the opportunity to go to Charleston and spend time with them, hang out with them, and being with them and seeing them in person and talking to them, you realize that these people do have star quality.
Yeah.
Because like there's a difference between people who are TV friendly, like you can have a little personality, whatever, but there is people who have star quality. That's a whole different ball game, and they do have that. And I'm like, and I keep asking, yo, when is the announcement for season 2? What's happening? Like, when is it coming? You know, like obviously there's no right or wrong answer because you know Bravo is kind of weird when it comes to announcing new shows or announcing seasons to be greenlit. But I'm very hopeful with Southern Hospitality. They have a great cast.
Yeah.
It's there.
And like and Charleston is fun. Like
It is.
I love Southern Charm. I love that show for how fucking insane it is because it's fucking insane.
Wow.
But Southern Hospitality has the fresh young thing that is very typical in Charleston. But talking about young stuff before we go, I wanna hear your opinion on the Scandal because I mean we can't escape that conversation before we go.
Oof. I'll start and then I'll let Shooter tie a bow on it. I had the chance to actually meet. There's a producer slash he or she. I'm not going to out them on the show for giving us inside info, but I met with them like 2 days after the news broke. They were in the area, so I sat down and talked to them for a while and sort of got the inside scoop. Everything that she told me hadn't come out yet. It's all been brought to light thus since then. But God, this whole thing, like I was the biggest Tom supporter around, even when they did stupid shit, just because they're so entertaining. Like they're such a funny, like Dumb and Dumber duo. And even when they really piss you off because of Schwartz, you kind of feel bad for him because he's got that like hurt puppy dog thing. But when this all broke, I think I speak for everybody that watches Bravo. Like we were all just shattered because for whatever reason, like obviously Sandoval, now in hindsight, it's easy to say like, yeah, he's been sketchy from day one. This is not shocking. But on the flip side of that, Ariana and Sandoval were the rock relationship in Vanderpump. They were the one that no one ever questioned. And looking back, it's funny that we didn't question it, but we just didn't. We're like, oh yeah, Sandoval and Ariana are kind of weird, but they do their own thing and they're always together and they always will be together. That's just how it is. Okay, whatever. Had Sandoval cheated with anybody else, I think I would have been like, oh shit, I didn't think he would do that, but it makes sense. Like Sandoval's a scumbag. So yeah, of course he cheated. The fact that he cheated with Raquel, just I think everyone's head exploded. And now we have to sit here and watch all season as Ariana is nice to Raquel. And I told Shooter, he came over to watch it because we were recording that night. I literally had a commercial break. I was like, dude, I feel dirty. I feel like I'm complicit in the cheating because I'm not telling her. I'm watching her talk to Raquel and be nice to Raquel. Sorry, Rachel. She's being nice to Rachel. And I'm like, nah, dude,
Yeah.
like she's actively banging your man right now. Like she's probably had sex with Sandoval that day you're talking to her, like laughing and giggling. Like she's giggling, but she just got banged out by your man 10 minutes ago. Like it's hard to watch.
Yeah, I remember when there was an episode where Ariana is defending Rachel. I think it was the episode when they sat with Katie,
Yeah.
and kind of Ariana was trying to like make like excuses for Rachel's behavior, kind of like
Yep.
making, oh, we push her to be out there and whatever it was, and I'm like, and my literal reaction like, but she's fucking your boyfriend.
It's like,
Yeah.
dude, no.
No, it's tough to watch too. And like, and I'm gonna go at it from a different angle. There's two things. Like one, at this point in the season, we spent a couple episodes just kind of like over analyzing situations that Rachel was in, being like, oh, I can see a little bit of a clue there, I get a clue here, whatever. So we're just at the point now where we just want to see it unfold. Like we need the new episodes. We need to see when it starts and how people react, because that's where the real drama is going to come in. And the other end of this is, and I hate this, but we see people coming out of the woodwork like Lala saying like, oh, I had an inkling that this was going on, or other people like, oh yeah, like I think I caught them one time. Like, no, you didn't. You had no idea that this was going on. No one did. If anybody did, Ariana knew, but she was obviously going to keep that under wraps because she doesn't want her whole thing to blow up. So for you to sit here now, hindsight queens, being like, oh yeah, I knew that was going on. Like they didn't. Just shut the hell up. Stay off, like her on Sheena's podcast talking about like all the instances that she thought that this happened and blah, blah, blah. Like you had no idea. Don't act like you did now. This is such classic Lauren behavior. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see any of it. Just enough. Like, let's just get to the point now, because like Steele said, we're watching all of this unfold and just looking for clues. They have to be getting to the point now, editing wise, where they're shortening these episodes that we can get to the real stuff, because I will watch hours on end after the news breaks. They can just keep the show going live. I don't care. But this stuff right now, it's getting a little painful. And we're like, that's like Steele said, we're feeling a little dirty watching this. Like, we don't want to deal with this. Let's just get to it and uncover it and see how everybody reacts. And then let the reunion go on for a while.
That reunion is gonna be so fucking insane.
Oh, it's going to be great.
That's the only reunion I want 3 episodes of. I don't want 3 episodes of every other reunion that's more than 2 episodes stinks. Every other reunion, most that are more than 1 episode stink.
Yep.
Vanderpump can continue. They can turn the reunion into a recurring weekly show, and I'll watch it, because the fact that these people had to sit together in a room, the reunion was filmed so shortly after this news broke. I can't even imagine. I'm shocked that everyone agreed to be there.
Yeah.
And that's where it's interesting, the conspiracy theories that come out, like, oh, the show was kind of struggling, and then this shit all comes out. It's like, I don't know. I don't think there's any background shit going on. I think this actually just happened, and it's a horrible thing. But wrangling this whole crew together and keeping them from like actually killing each other, and it sounds like there was a altercation between Schwartz and Sandoval or somebody. But the fact that there was an actual fist being thrown is shocking to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there was no black eye situation on this one.
Yeah.
No black eyes, because I don't want to sit and decipher who did what, and like, fuck that. I'm done with black eyes. Like, nah, shit's tired.
Yeah, I'm tired of black eyes and Aspen. Like, I don't want no trips to Aspen, and I don't want no black eyes in any franchise.
That would be great.
That would be ideal. Yeah, I'm done with Aspen too.
Bros, anything you want to promote?
Yeah. One, since you're wearing the hat, buy our shit. Go to etsy.com/shop/Brav Bros. We got hats in there. They're pretty legit, actually. Eddie posted a nice thirst trap for us the other day, tagging us in it. There's the hat right there. They're sick, actually. There's also dad hats if you want to be more like Shooter and wear a dad hat. He's more of a dad hat guy. I'm the trucker hat guy. But the biggest thing we want to promote is we're doing a live show in Philly on April 27th with Zach Peter from the #NoFilter podcast. It's called a night out, a no filter night out at the City Winery in Philly. Tickets are $15. If you buy one today, 2 people are going to be selected at random to be upgraded to VIP because all of our VIP tickets are sold out already. But it's going to be a fun night and it's a great venue. We got special guests coming. We're going to announce them next week, I think. So buy some tickets, come hang out with the bros.
Yeah.
Bro, I wish I could go. Like I really was trying to go. I really want to go. And tell Zach that I say hi. I know
I will.
We will.
We are frenemies. That's how our title, frenemies.
He's a good frenemy. Yeah, he likes to talk shit. We will, but why can't you make it?
Well, it's family stuff and whatever. So
That's fair.
It
That's
just kind
fair.
of happened during that same weekend. So, and I got to drive from New York there, and I was hoping that I could bring some family and stuff to the show too, but it couldn't happen. So we gotta plan something, you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something we gotta plan something.
We'll
We'll
get
figure it
something
out.
together. Yeah, we got nothing but time, man. Nothing but time.
That's right. Summer is coming. That's a good time to plan road trips and stuff. So yeah.
Sounds good to us. Let us know.
Yeah, we're in.
Okay, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming. I had a freaking awesome time.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
Also, you guys go listen to the Brav Bros podcast. It's sick. As you can see, they have awesome opinions. Obviously, like I always said, go support them by subscribing and rate their podcast. We, as podcasters and content creators, the only way that we can survive if we love and support, and that is shown by a simple subscribe and a simply 5-star rate. Also, you can find my podcast as Martini with Eddie on every single platform, Instagram, Twitter, as Martini with Eddie. And yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Of course, man.
Thanks,
Anytime.
Eddie.
Okay, bros. See you later.
See ya.